Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we're honored to be joined by the CEO of ProLift Rigging, Matt Brennan. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with a little bit of context. You do amazing things all over the country, big projects, but give us a little history for ProLift Rigging.
Yeah, ProLift Rigging actually started as Buckner Industrial Rigging in 2010, based in Rustburg, Virginia. And in 2018, some colleagues and I started an acquisition company, acquired the Buckner Group, renamed ProLift, moved our headquarters here to Memphis. And since 2019, we've been on a growth trajectory. And at this point, we've got 10 branches as far west as Southern California and in the Northeast, Washington, D.C., Mid-Atlantic area.
So it's logistics, it's warehousing, it's rigging, it's huge projects, as I mentioned at the onset, but how do you describe what you do?
You know, our mission is to be the best lifting, transportation, and relocation solutions company for project teams that build and maintain mission critical infrastructure. So that would include everyone from a data center owner operator to a critical manufacturing facility or even a power project. We basically assist those teams in building out their new facilities. A lot of manufacturers right now, the last few years, have been consolidating, relocating facilities. We help them with that. But we specialize in oversized and overdimensional, large components. So really big, heavy stuff. Operator-owned equipment, go in and come up with the means and methods to take your entire facility, all the equipment in it, pick it up, lift it, transport it, and also bring in new equipment that's perhaps manufactured overseas, coordinate the process of bringing it into the port, and then transitioning all the way to your site, wherever that might be. We also operate a network of warehouses where the equipment can be staged temporarily on its way to the end destination. So yeah, it's big, impressive equipment. And at the end of each project, we can see what we've accomplished.
What's the lead time? And obviously some of this stuff, it's going to vary greatly, but typically what's the planning process? What's the lead time on some of these projects?
Yeah, it's really interesting because historically we came out of the capital and industrial project world where a company would foresee a project a year, 2, 3 years in advance, go through an engineering process, select all the equipment they were going to purchase, go through a big procurement process, and then a pretty large scale project schedule was built out and the project could execute over a number of months. The way things have adapted, especially in take the data center infrastructure space, when the pandemic hit and a lot of people shifted to work from home, just saw a really continued surge in demand for cloud infrastructure. And there's a physical, element that enables the cloud, a data center. So what's interesting is these customers have wanted to take what used to be a multi-year process and really condense it to as short a time period as possible. So we sometimes can get word of a project, provide pricing, develop a plan, close, and execute now in under 3 months. So things have just really compressed. And obviously everybody's trying to deal with supply chain challenges of getting their critical equipment that was produced in Asia or Europe, produced closer to home. So we're seeing lots of shifts there. But it's an interesting business and things are only going faster.
Yeah, I was about to say that the tech trend for sure with the pandemic forces that hand and the urgency. I've got to think gas prices, talent. What are some of the things when you're looking at from your vantage point as CEO, what are the things that you're constantly thinking about for the business?
Yeah, it's an unusual time because things went from kind of medium, whether you're talking about your supply of manpower, your team, sales growth, to things either being super hot or ice cold. So we have on the customer side just super high demand. You had manufacturers need to shift entire operations to the US to deal with the pandemic. shutdowns. So just high urgency to accomplish a major project in a short amount of time. You've got unemployment really low right now. So demand is high, but finding workforce is really the constant challenge. So we've moved beyond just posting a job and waiting for someone to apply to proactively pursuing talent wherever they are, engaging them, getting to know them, selling our culture. So we're kind of constantly recruiting. We even hire people before a position is necessarily defined, just knowing it's coming. So one of the big hires for us in the last year was a leader for talent acquisition and people. So we've just continued to invest in acquiring people, train them up, connecting them with our team.
I like the proactive approach. And you mentioned culture. So let's stay on this topic. One of the things that really is powerful in terms of your culture is being purpose driven. And so talk about faith, talk about purpose driven and the higher purpose that drives your company.
Yeah. So our business was formed by a group of folks that are motivated by their faith and really just see our business as an opportunity to work that out in very practical ways. So as a private company, our shareholders are able to come together and define why we're in business. So our main purpose is to glorify God by helping other people. And that's something that we share with our whole team. That's the why for why we exist. Many years ago, the stakeholders in our business just had the realization that it was a much more rewarding life if you invested in assisting other folks. There's kind of a continuous stream of data that shows us that super wealth doesn't necessarily improve your state of wellness as a person. A lot of data shows that once you're making 85 to 100,000 a year, you kind of hit your maximum utility for money. So then you have a decision. What are you going to do? If you're able to earn a lot more than that, what are you going to do with it? And we've all aligned around the idea that we want to use it to grow our business, to expand our influence with people, have a larger team, and then also use the money to help people that are really in a bad way, either with limited resources or that live in a part of the world where things are just unstable, difficult, and they need a helping hand. So yeah, that's the why behind our business. And that materializes in a number of different ways.
I want to definitely touch on the support for different nonprofits and organizations. Let's stay internal with the company. When you talk about that purpose, so much of it is manifested in how you treat your employees and the family values and putting family first. Give me something that it could be a tradition for the company, for you personally, just, interactions with your team members. What's something that kind of stands out is something unique and different and special with your culture?
Well, I would say hopefully there's quite a few things. The first one that comes to mind for me is we view it as one of our great responsibilities to just care for our team. You spend so many hours at work, working with teammates, working with a supervisor. So we feel like one of the great ways we can minister to people is for them to be on our team and to work in an environment where they're respected, they're heard, they belong, they experience progress, they receive feedback. But not only that, there's a concern for them as a person. So you've got a personal life beyond your time at the office. So we try to we try to kind of with a level of discipline, check in with everyone on our team every 90 days to have a conversation, not only about how they're doing at work, but what's happening outside the office with your family, your hobbies, your health, and we try to assist where we can. That becomes more formal through what's called our ProLift Cares platform. So we have this kind of decentralized way of taking care of each other. We're a branch network. Each branch has a team. And in each branch, we form what's called a care team. It's a group of volunteers that says we'd like to represent all the company does in terms of caring for employees. So that group of volunteers works with our care team coordinator who's based here in Memphis. They learn about all of the soft benefits that we offer our team members, whether it's grief counseling, marriage retreats, financial literacy counseling, education, different things. We've just got a number of different things we offer the team. And they become experts in those programs. And if you're in a local branch in, say, Riverside, California, you've got a local contact to where you as an employee can connect into one of these programs. And it's very personal, and the care teams tend to seek out opportunities there. And then we employ folks from every walk of life, whether it's a college graduate or someone that needs a second chance after incarceration. We try to do all that intentionally, and then just manage those things with them, help them overcome the challenges that come with having a life of incarceration or even addiction. We hire folks knowingly with a record of addiction, try to assist them in their recovery, continue recovery, build safeguards for them. We feel like it's really the smart thing to do in the future when we've got limited, mobile, employable folks out there. You have to really learn to work with people exactly where they are. But we don't view it as a negative. It's an opportunity. So yeah, that's one of I'd say ProLift Cares is probably the most important effort we have toward taking care of our team.
Yeah, I love it. Talk about support of nonprofits. You mentioned working overseas. You have a number of different passion projects on your end, both personally and professionally. So talk about supporting nonprofits and causes.
Yeah. So over the years, what you find is if you're going to help people, it's actually more difficult than you think. There's more to it than just giving money to a given charity or nonprofit. If you're concerned about outcomes, like you want things to actually get better, and you find that your time and your energy is valuable to the nonprofit. So we, over the years, have kind of developed strategic giving, trying to give well and do things that really do impact people positively instead of negatively. You actually can harm people if you help in a way that's not helpful. So we've got a couple of avenues. We do all of our giving through our team. So we don't have a professional philanthropic staff or grant makers. We essentially invite our team to participate, and we've got a couple of different ways to do it. One is you can give locally. Everywhere where we have a presence, we allow our team to submit a pretty simple one-page grant request. And we're trying to encourage them not only to give cash, but volunteer. So it's a plus if it's a place that they're participating. In Memphis, things like a Rise to Read or a home run, because we can volunteer, help kids elevate their literacy rates, through that program, but also give cash to scale it. It's a very scalable program. We love MAM, Memphis Athletic Ministries, Neighborhood Christian Centers, a number, employability, nonprofits, but essentially if we can get our employees volunteering plus giving cash and partnering with the leaders of that nonprofit to think and improve, that's the sweet spot. And then the other significant effort we have is international. As we started participating in philanthropy, we just noticed that there's parts of the world where there's no one at the table. There's few people at the table trying to help. So from time to time, it's a challenge because people say, why would you go away from your home when we have so many problems here? But I'd say if you take time to visit a place like India or West Africa, you'll understand the needs are so great, and someone has to kind of help pioneer those things. So we've spent time focusing there, trying to not neglect opportunities on the home front. But when people are living, in the difficult circumstances you see, especially in West Africa, that's an area that I tend to focus on. Just poverty, it's difficult for us to understand the level of poverty that people deal with there, but also just a destabilized environment where trauma, genocide, being displaced from your land, food insecurity, physical insecurity, all these things are just the daily bread of millions of people. So we've really found a lot of fulfillment partnering with effective nonprofits that are dealing with things on the ground in really tough places. And if you're part of our team, you can participate in either one of those. And there's no good or bad answer. Just plug in where you're fit, and you're welcome.
How has the pandemic, and when you talk about ProLift Cares and seeing the support for each other as teammates, and then to your point, supporting nonprofits, allowing your team to go out and encouraging them to get involved and to see them as an army of do-gooders out doing good, how has that changed your perspective on your company's ability to create change, not just internally, but externally in the world?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the relationships you develop with nonprofits and the communities that they engage. You become friends. You start to buy into the same mission, the vision that they have, and just to be their friend through those difficulties is impactful. So we saw a number of instances where we were able to check in with a partner, find out how they were doing, how they were adapting in the midst of the pandemic. If they had a program that was fully, in person, how did they utilize technology to pivot and be effective? We got to share those experiences together. We got to share good news. And then I'd say for our team, we all during the pandemic at some point felt just the weight of it, the disconnectedness that you can feel when you're dialing to meetings and not able to see friends and family. I think it motivated our team to keep leaning in, to not give up on who we are as a company, and to put up with some of the challenges. I know that for several of us, when we knew what people were going through in the inner city or what people were going through in different parts of the world, it just put into perspective that our hardship was something we could survive. If they could survive what they survive every day, we can do this as well. It was really interesting being connected with West Africa, because pandemic is kind of a part of their history. Ebola, when you're connecting with someone that's lived through Ebola and different things like that, and they saw this as more of a minor event, it's just a completely different perspective, and encourages you, okay, this is difficult for us, but we can get through it. So I think that it's a real strategic benefit to allow your team to be connected in the community through nonprofits, because it just gives you a new perspective, helps you be grateful for what you have, and see that you'll make it. You can do it. It's an inspirational relationship.
Wrap up with where we can go to learn more about ProLift Rigging. Where can we start to learn more and to reach out and say, hey, if we need help, where do we go?
Yeah, definitely ProLiftRigging.com. And then you'll find us on LinkedIn with hopefully a prominent presence there. We try to do a lot of posting, both on what we do internally and externally in the community. And yeah, we welcome outreach and connection, especially with business owners that are thinking about a purpose-driven business. We're always happy to talk about our experiences there and help people think through that if that's on their mind. But happy to connect with anybody. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
All right, Jeremy. We'll be happy to do it again. Thank you, sir.